Colorado's COVID testing program in schools is a $170 million flop. Not the first expensive failure in our fight against the virus. The governor told Next he wishes he could spend the money elsewhere. The state tops 1,000 hospitalized COVID patients for the first time this year. The Republican frontrunner for governor is notifying her supporters that their recent event featured a radio host who'd been trying to catch COVID. And he just tested positive.
Engaged with strangers, constantly hugging them, taking photos with them.
We'll break down a statewide ballot issue where you'll decide who controls the state's special money piggy bank. And a young runner who did not need the sport to teach him toughness. All that is next. Less than 1% of students are using Colorado's free COVID testing program in schools. That is not a lot of bang for $170 million of our bucks. Mark Salinger asked the governor if that is money well spent. The governor told Mark he wishes he could use it elsewhere.
I want you to complete this sentence.
More than a month after it started, Colorado's school COVID testing program isn't working the way it was designed, at least not yet.
We're currently at 571 schools. Last week we tested about 5,000 students on a weekly cadence. That's up from 4,000 the week before.
5,000 students isn't a whole lot, considering there are more than 883,000 in the state. That means about half of 1% of all students in Colorado got a COVID test last week through a program the state is spending $173 million worth of federal funding on. I asked the governor about it today after he got his flu shot in front of the cameras.
Will you continue to fund it with $170 million even though only 1% of students are actually participating in it?
Well, again, when the federal government offers us money, we like to deploy it. I wish we could repurpose it for other purposes, including additional work around vaccination. But look, the vaccination work is well-resourced, so we're not wanting for resources there.
Governor Polis has even offered incentives to try and kickstart the program. Maybe the price is too low.
We had wanted to offer more. The federal government allowed us to offer $15. We thought if we were offering $30, $40, $50, we would have more, and we probably would. We would have more students, there's no question.
It's not the first time incentives have been offered to help battle the pandemic. Remember the vaccine lottery? A new study from CU Denver found those incentives didn't convince people to sign up either. But now it's not just a lack of students signing up that have some schools frustrated.
We signed up early September. I believe it was the first week of September.
Brian Hill is the assistant superintendent at Mesa County Valley School District 51. His district planned to use the program to offer regular rapid testing for students, but still hasn't received the majority of tests or the link for parents to give permission to students.
Last year, we were the largest district in the state to open in person and stay in person, and so we wanted to continue that obviously this year as well. And this is going to be a big key to that.
I wanted to know what percentage of students would need to get tested at any given school to make the program successful. I spoke with Dr. Glenn Mays at the Colorado School of Public Health, who says the more the better, of course. 20 to 25% would be good, but the reality is that if you don't get enough students to get tested, the testing program trial misses so many more cases than it actually finds.
So I think, Mark, I might have assumed that maybe districts just decided that they didn't want to participate in this testing, but there were some that really wanted to make it work and felt like they couldn't.
Yeah, I spoke to a school district up in Greeley today who says that they wanted to sign up for it. They were in the process of getting everything started, and then their staff realized how much trouble it would be, how long it would take the staff to actually do the testing and do the data and track everything, and they backed out in the last couple of days.
Mark Salinger, thank you very much. So federal tax dollars flowing like the South Platte in spring lately, and tonight Aurora City Council is going to talk about using $10 million in pandemic aid from the feds for mental health programs, suicide prevention. Some of that funding would also go to fight substance abuse. You got folks on council making the argument that all of those things are directly tied to the pandemic. Also in Aurora today, city says it has reached a settlement with the family of Elijah McClain. The family sued over Elijah's death after he was pinned down by police. The city says the terms of the settlement will become public once McClain's parents decide how the money will be allocated. McClain died after he was stopped and restrained by Aurora police in August of 2019. Officers used a carotid hold on McClain, and first responders gave him ketamine. He died 5 days after going into cardiac arrest. McClain's family filed a civil rights lawsuit in August of 2020. The defendants are the city of Aurora and about a dozen police and fire department employees. Meanwhile, a statewide grand jury has returned a 32-count indictment against 5 people involved in McClain's death. When it comes to issues of politics, we don't have to agree, but let's just vote, you know? Let's dive into another statewide ballot question tonight. Specifically, Marshall Zellinger will be doing the diving. Amendment 78. It's about who controls special money that comes into Colorado. So you need to know who controls the checkbook normally and how Amendment 78 would change that. Here's Marshall.
Amendment 78 is about how state money gets spent. A yes vote on 78 means you want Colorado's 100 state lawmakers to decide how to spend money, even when it's outside of the normal budget process, outside of everyday stuff like education, healthcare, and human services. Two examples of money the legislature does not control: emergency money, like COVID relief funds from the federal government, and money the state receives from legal settlements that the Attorney General's office handles. A no vote on 78 keeps the state legislature separate from these types of funds. The governor would still have executive order power to spend money, like COVID relief funds, and the Attorney General would still be able to decide how to divvy up money from legal settlements. How about some examples? In May 2020, Colorado received $1.6 billion in federal COVID relief funds, and the governor, by executive order, dished out the money. The governor gave more than $500 million to K-12, $450 million to higher education. A yes vote on 78 means you want the legislature, not the governor, to have the final say. Here's another example. The Attorney General has handled $400 million in opioid settlements, the most recent from Johnson & Johnson and Purdue Pharma. The majority of that money will go to local governments for drug treatment, recovery, and prevention programs. A yes vote on 78 would put that kind of money in the hands of the state legislature. Lawmakers normally meet for 120 days from January to early May. If the state legislature were required to control this type of money and hold at least one public hearing, it could delay the use of the money or require a special session after May, which costs the state to call all lawmakers back to work. One other note, so you have it all. A yes vote on 78 would also change how the interest from those funds would be spent. Right now, they have to be spent on what the money is used for. So using that opioid settlement example, the interest is used for more drug treatment programs. If you vote yes, you're saying you want the interest made from these specific pots of money to be used anywhere in the budget.
So, of course, this is Colorado. One of the great things, one of the worst things, that anybody or their uncle can put something on the ballot for us all to vote on. And sometimes these things are up for interpretation later. So the true impact is not known until it is interpreted after the fact.
And if you look at the Blue Book, it talks about public schools, universities, colleges that might have money that no longer would be dictated except by the state legislature. So I found out today that could include dorm money, athletics, money that, or fees that a board of regents or a board of governors would normally have a say over. That, depending on how it's interpreted by the state legislature, if it gets passed, that could then end up in front of lawmakers instead of CU and CSU's board.
Wait, you're telling me that universities make money off of athletics?
Depends on this part of the country.
Depends on the university, right? All right, thanks, Marshall. Denver's homeless sweeps, they're one of the most closely scrutinized things that the city does these days. And they're going to be the subject of an actual audit next year. Denver Auditor Tim O'Brien's office is going to be looking into the city's handling of homeless encampments on the streets. Currently, the city provides notice to the people living there, and then in come the authorities to sweep away the camps. We know from surveys that the residents usually just move on to a new encampment somewhere else in the city. Another prong of the city's response are sanctioned camping sites run by a nonprofit. The auditor's office said today it's heard concerns from citizens about how the issue of homelessness is handled, so the auditor moved it onto the calendar for next year. These audits will look into how the camps are cleaned up by the city, how much this approach costs taxpayers, as well as its impact on the community. Then there's going to be a second audit in Denver looking at the city's shelter services, how they're used, and whether they are an effective way of addressing homelessness. I want to thank you for what you did for Latina Safe House with your latest Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. You're just a few dollars away from raising $25,000 to expand that nonprofit's work, which helps people escape abusive relationships in the metro area. Latina Safe House works with women before and after their attempt to leave, knowing often they'll try to leave several times before they're successful. So before the attempt, they work to build skills and confidence, and then after, provide the support and direction that these women and often families need. Your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaigns have raised $4.7 million for Colorado's small to mid-sized nonprofits since last year. One idea a week, and we're back with a big idea from a small town on Wednesday.
Making myself very susceptible to getting COVID, which is indeed as bizarre as it sounded. what I wanted.
A candidate for governor wanted to draw a crowd. Her guest speaker wanted to catch COVID from the crowd. Everyone got what they wanted. Some local ballot questions that bury the lead have next viewers wondering if somebody's pulling a fast one on voters. And 6 surgeries won't stop this middle schooler from running. If anything, it's motivation. Next. A nationally known conservative radio host has announced that he intentionally contracted COVID-19 days after he came to Colorado for an event for Republican Heidi Ganahl's campaign for governor. Dennis Prager came to Colorado a week ago Sunday, October 10th, for this event with Ganahl. He said today on the radio that he tested positive for COVID last Wednesday. Prager described how he has been trying to catch COVID to get natural immunity.
I engaged with strangers, constantly hugging them, taking photos with them, knowing that I was making myself very susceptible to getting COVID, which is indeed, as bizarre as it sounded, what I wanted, in the hope that I would achieve natural immunity and be taken care of by therapeutics.
A Ganahl spokesperson said they had no idea that Prager had COVID-19 until he announced it on the radio today. The Ganahl campaign said it would notify everyone who was there. Colorado's COVID hospitalizations are now at their highest levels in 2021. There are currently 1,021 COVID patients in Colorado's hospitals. That is up 17 patients from the day before. A week ago, we had 944 COVID patients in hospitals. Our ballots are chock full of local issues for this off-year election. Next viewer in Brighton had a great question about whether his city council is trying to pull a fast one. And Richard's question is a great reminder to all of us to read the fine print on our ballots. Brighton question 3B asks voters to impose a 4% city sales tax on marijuana. But here's the thing. Brighton does not currently allow pot shops. Got to keep reading. At the end of question 3B, there's this. Shall the operation of marijuana businesses be permitted in the city? Our viewer Richard wanted to know why the ballot question doesn't start with, should we allow marijuana businesses? Well, legally, it can't. State law requires tax questions to start with, shall City X taxes be increased by? So Brighton could have asked 2 separate questions. One, appearing first on the ballot, would ask if they approve cannabis sales, then a second question to approve the city sales tax. But that would have given voters the opportunity to approve marijuana sales and deny the city the taxes. This way, forces the voters to go all or nothing. We noticed a similar layered issue with Denver ballot issue 303, which was put up by the city's Republican Party chairman, trying to force Denver into more proactive sweeps of homeless camps. But that part is buried underneath an opening line about creating new safe camping spaces for people who are homeless. If 303 passes, its 3-day timetable, its requirement for faster homeless sweeps, would clash with the federal order requiring 7 days' notice. So the city of Denver is already suing to strike down that part of 303.
Nice way to start the week with sunshine and temperatures above average, close to 80 degrees. It all changes with the arrival of this storm coming at us from Utah. It's going to be a good mountain snow producer. Denver, it'll be windy and cooler tomorrow with just isolated showers. We have a winter weather advisory in the northern and central mountains for about 4 to 8 inches of snow. Denver's going to miss out on this one this time. Tonight, fair skies and 42, clouds and wind increasing ahead of a storm that'll bring temperatures down 20 degrees tomorrow. Only isolated showers expected, and then a nice warming trend. Mid-60s Wednesday, and then sunshine and 70s for the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. Enjoy.
A lesson in how to be a great teammate and a great coach.
They took him in a way that he just ran. He was just another runner, and that's what it was. Nobody had to take care of him.
We'll meet a young man in Fort Collins, proving all the doubters wrong. Next. One of the prettiest spots in the city, and we ruined the view by putting the logo on it. So I lasted 2 seasons running cross country, I think it was junior high. That takes mental toughness and physical perseverance that I simply did not have. Fort Collins middle schooler who's running for a state title this weekend has plenty of both of those things. And his family says his coach's approach has also made all the difference. Byron Reed has the story.
Emmett Stevenson.
Great.
Is a person of a few words.
Yes.
But when it comes to proving people wrong, his actions speak for themselves.
He's been through 6 surgeries as a baby, and he just came out ready to go. He's like, let's go, and just proved everybody wrong from day one.
Kristen Stevenson is Emmett's mom.
I'm so proud. So proud.
And says he's been surprising everyone ever since her doctor diagnosed him with Down syndrome.
At first he said, do you really want to keep this child? He'll probably never walk. He won't amount to anything. He probably won't even contribute to society. And I'll never forget those words.
Words that motivated 12-year-old Emmett to join the Kennard Middle School cross-country team this year.
The back of his shirt says character matters, and I tell you, they live up to that there.
By using a strategy of his own.
Better, undersized, stronger.
I haven't made it through a race yet without crying. And it's been fun to watch all the other schools cheer him on around the area when he comes in. It's been the most heartwarming experience ever. I can't believe it.
His mom says even though Emmett's running form may not be perfect, she hopes he'll be an inspiration to others when he crosses the finish line.
It reminds you every day that life is so beautiful and precious and that we should all be there for each other. He is constantly proving my doubts wrong.
I'm Byron Reed.
Emmett will be competing Saturday morning, running in the Open JV boys race in Littleton. When he's not running cross country, Emmett likes to spend his time ski racing. It's a sign of hope for a part of Colorado that experienced great loss. That and your feedback next. It's a sign of resiliency a year after a devastating wildfire. Joan took this photo of aspens that survived last year's East Troublesome fire, pop of brightness against a backdrop of dead trees near Grand Lake off County Road 41. Joan said she'd come around the corner and was surprised to see that. She lives in that area and told us that she knows some folks who lost their homes in the fire, and she called this an amazing photo of hope. Signs, literal and figurative, always welcome around here. Email them to us, next@9news.com, or you can always use the hashtag HeyNext on Twitter. Bruce Harrington writes in tonight about the vaccine lottery and some other things that Colorado has spent money on and perhaps not gotten results back during the pandemic. Bruce says, nothing wrong with trying. If you missed Friday's show, we heard from a CU Denver researcher who looked at vaccine lotteries in Colorado and almost 20 other states and concluded that none of them worked. Thought his perspective was interesting. He said it was worth trying. We just shouldn't do it again. Mike writes in about Heidi Ganahl's campaign event with talk radio host Dennis Prager, who's trying to catch COVID. Said Russian roulette with your life just to prove a point. We asked the Ganahl campaign if they knew that he was running all over the country trying to catch COVID. They said they didn't know. See you next time.